Scar from The Lion King is undeniably one of Disney's most iconic bad guys. Let's figure out what makes him so unforgettable in this video. Looking at Scar right from the start, it's clear that his go-to strategy isn't about relying on brute strength. He knows he can't physically overpower Mufasa, so he's smart enough not to try. He's not foolish enough to engage in a battle he's bound to lose.
I wouldn't dream of challenging you.
Pity. Why not?
Well, as far as brains go, I got the lion's share, but when it comes to brute strength, I'm afraid I'm at the shallow end of the gene pool.
Instead, he takes a more strategic approach by playing the long game. He is incredibly clever and patient, taking the time to observe, plan, and carefully plant seeds of doubt and danger. When you examine how he recruits the hyenas, it's interesting to note that he doesn't inspire loyalty in them. Instead, he bribes them because he knows they're hungry and desperate. He uses promises of power and food to lure them in, dangling these incentives right in front of them. This manipulative approach is what makes him so dangerous from the very start. His ability to use people's weaknesses to his advantage is a key factor in his success as a villain. Without a doubt, his most evil and brilliant moment was when he carefully planned the death of Mufasa.
What are you supposed to do? Kill Mufasa?
Precisely.
He cleverly lured Simba into the gorge, set up the stampede, and manipulated Mufasa into the perfect position, all while pretending to be an innocent bystander. What's truly chilling is that he didn't just directly kill Mufasa, instead, he let him fall, coldly whispering "Long live the king" as he did so.
Long live the king.
This act was calculated and perfectly executed, showing how sinister and ruthless Scar really is. Many villains are evil simply because they enjoy causing chaos and destruction, but Scar's motivations run much deeper. He comes from a place of deep resentment and bitterness. As the younger brother, he's always felt overlooked, living in the shadow of Mufasa. In his eyes, he's spent his entire life being treated as inferior, constantly passed over for opportunities and forced to live in the background. He genuinely believes that he's the one who deserves the throne, not his older brother. This bitter belief drives him to do what he does, making his actions more understandable, though certainly not justifiable. His actions are a result of feeling undervalued and overshadowed for so long, which has fueled his desire for power and revenge. He's not just a one-dimensional villain, he's complex, with a backstory that makes his evil deeds slightly more relatable, even if they're still morally wrong. One of the most interesting things about Scar is that once he finally gets power, he proves to be completely unprepared, incapable, and ultimately self-destructive.
Scar, there's no food, no water. Yeah, it's dinner time, and we ain't got no stinking entrees.
Where is your hunting party? They're not doing their job.
Scar, there is no food. The herds have moved on.
No, you're just not looking hard enough.
It's over. There is nothing left.
Instead of being focused on using his power effectively, he's more obsessed with having it. He believes that ruling the Pride Lands will finally give him the validation he's always felt he deserves. But the truth is, he has no idea what leadership really requires. That's why things fell apart so quickly once he took over. The Pride Lands were left in ruins under his care, which is a stark contrast to how well Mufasa had maintained them. His most iconic song, "Be Prepared," is more than just a catchy tune for villains, it serves as a manifesto. At this point, he's not hiding in the shadows anymore, he's openly announcing his rise to power. The visuals, with the eerie green flames and everything else, all build up to a moment that solidifies him as a symbol of political manipulation, ambition, and tyranny. Another important part of his character is his relationship with Simba. It's not just about betraying his brother Mufasa, but also about how he manipulates Simba after his father's death. He convinces the young Simba that it was all his fault and that he's responsible for his father being dead, then tells him to run away and never come back.
Run away and never return. Kill him.
This just highlights how messed up Scar really is. Years later, when Simba returns, Scar tries to bring back those same feelings of guilt to undermine Simba's confidence. He attempts to regain control not through force, but through fear, by blaming Simba for Mufasa's death, exactly what he did years ago, trying to crush his spirit before their final confrontation.
Well, Simba, now's your chance to tell them. Tell them who is responsible for Mufasa's death. You see, he admits it. Murder.
It shows how well Scar knows how to twist the knife, not just physically but emotionally. His death is as fitting as his rise to power. Cornered, outmatched, and stripped of his lies, he attempts once again to manipulate his way out of trouble. This time, he tries to shift the blame to the hyenas, hoping to escape the consequences of his actions.
Simba, I am family. It's the hyenas who are the real enemy. It was their fault. It was their idea.
However, it doesn't work out for him. His allies, the very ones he used for his own gain, finally see through his facade. In a twist of irony, they turn on him, and his death is very brutal. Although it's not shown directly, it's heavily implied that he was devoured by the hyenas, a stark and brutal end. His entire reign was built on lies, manipulation, and betrayal, and in the end, it's betrayal that ultimately seals his fate. This kind of poetic justice makes his story all the more impactful. What makes Scar such a great villain is that it's not just the actions he takes, it's the layers behind them. His intelligence, his masterful manipulation, and his tragic backstory all combine to create a villain who feels disturbingly real. This depth is what makes him so intricate as a character. Also, his legacy is what makes Simba's story so powerful. Simba doesn't just reclaim his throne, he also overcomes the trauma and fear that Scar planted in his mind. His manipulation and betrayal left deep emotional scars, but Simba's journey is about confronting those scars and ultimately healing from them. This makes Simba's triumph all the more meaningful because he has to overcome not just a physical enemy, but also the psychological warfare that Scar waged against him. In essence, Scar's complexity gives depth to The Lion King, turning it into more than just a simple story about good versus evil. It becomes a nuanced exploration of the consequences of betrayal, manipulation, and the power of redemption.